All right, everyone. So today I wanted to answer a question that I'm sure a lot of people are going to have, and it has to do with gearing. Specifically, how do you get your purple grade gear? Because by now, you probably have a whole bunch of blue gear. You're going to get a ton of it through Chaos Dungeons. You're probably actually going to get so much of it that you're dismantling a bunch of extra copies of it that you have. But you might be wondering, I have all this blue gear. Am I going to be using blue gear all the way to item level 600? Can I get something else? Can I get something better? And the answer is yes. You can get purple grade gear, and that's actually what I'm going to do in this video. I'm about to turn in and craft a full set of purple gear on my character. So while I do that, I wanted to kind of turn this into a video and explain how you can get purple grade gear yourself. Now, something else that I also mentioned here, if you're worried about possibly losing progress, if you're like, man, my item level is already really high on my blue gear, I don't want to lose any progress, I've already spent a bunch of resources enhancing and honing my gear to a high item level, don't worry. You can actually transfer all the progress on your blue gear over to your purple gear, and you won't lose any item levels. All of the levels that you've honed, like if I transfer plus 14 over to purple gear, it will also stay plus 14. So my item level will remain exactly the same. So you don't have to worry about that as well. So let's get into it here. Now, your blue gear comes from your Chaos Dungeons. You can also buy it off the market. It's generally pretty cheap because there's just so much of it in the game. People are dismantling it. You just get flooded of blue gear with Chaos Dungeons. Now, your purple gear is going to come from your Abyssal Dungeons here. You can take a look at the drop tables here. And if you see in the second dungeon, you can actually start getting pieces of the purple gear for the tier 1 set, which is going to be item levels 300 to 600. Now, you also end up getting this material right here called Knight's Oath from the dungeons, and this is going to be what allows you to actually craft your purple gear as well. And I'm going to head over to the NPC that lets you craft your purple gear. Now, something I will also mention at the end of a dungeon, if you haven't done any Abyssal Dungeons as well, there's actually an option to get a bonus reward through these chests. You can also get additional purple gear drops from this. I think you can also get some of the Knight's Oath from this as well. So that's an option because you can only actually run these dungeons once per week. There's a weekly entry count. You can see that I've exceeded my, I'm at my limit for my weekly entry count. So you're not going to get a whole bunch of these right when you start off. And you're going to want to take advantage of them while you can, because pretty quickly you're probably going to move into tier 2, and then you won't be using this gear any longer. So let's go ahead and head over to the NPC that we can actually craft our purple gear. So we're going to head over to, it's right over here in the bottom right corner of Vern Castle. So we're going to teleport over here. And I have all my Knight's Oath. I did the first dungeon, and I did the second dungeon of the Abyssal Dungeons. The second one's a bit more tricky, so be careful if you're in a random group with that. The first one I didn't really have a problem with in the random group, but the second one in a completely random group, it took a couple of groups before we had people that were patient enough to understand the mechanics of it. So just keep that in mind. It's semi-pug friendly, but you know, you might get a group that is impatient and that they can't really handle the mechanics. So anyway, here we are at the Craft Abyss equipment, and you can see here is all the equipment that we can craft. Now, I have 18 of these Knight's Oath from running the first and the second dungeon. I just did one run of each. And you can see that the armors are going to take 2 of the Knight's Oath to craft, and then the weapon is going to end up taking 5. So if I could do math here correctly, we got 5 pieces of armor. 2 of these each is a total of 10, and then 5 for our weapon, which is a total of 15. So let's go ahead and craft these. There we go. That's the headwear, and now we're going to do the chest piece. We're going to do the pants. Ooh, we got a low quality roll on that, but that's okay. I'm actually pretty close to moving into tier 2 myself. I'm at the very end of the road of tier 1, so I'm not going to even be using this gear for very long, but a little bit's better than never, right? Might as well put it to use for at least a little bit, make a video out of it as well. All right, and then we got the gloves. We got the shoulder piece, and then the very last one, which I haven't done yet, which is the weapon. 5 of those Knight's Oath. And there we go. So we got a full set of gear. Obviously, the quality rolls are going to be random, so we're going to have to work with the quality that we have. I believe it shouldn't actually replace the quality. If I have a higher quality on my blue gear, I think it's going to keep the quality of my blue gear, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so let me go find out. And now we're going to transfer the progress from my blue gear over to my purple gear, because we don't want to lose that on all those item levels. I'm getting super close to 600, so of course I'm going to keep all that progress, and now getting my last couple of honing levels, I'll be working on the purple gear, and then eventually I'll turn it in, and once you get to item level 600, that's going to be the transition point to tier 2, and then once you can start using tier 2, Tier 2 starts off at item level 800, so you immediately get a jump of 200 item levels. So we're going to transfer the progress here, and we're going to go to a gear honing NPC, and you go to gear transfer. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my new purple gear that I have, and I'm going to transfer the progress. And you can see here, transfer result, it's going to maintain the levels. My staff is actually plus 15, so I'm basically done honing the staff. You really don't want to go past plus 15 if you don't have to, because it becomes incredibly expensive and difficult. And if you get all your gear to plus 15, that should be enough to actually transition you into tier 2. So all it costs here is 4,500 silver, and my blue staff is quality 76. I believe it's going to keep the quality. I could be wrong on this because we're transferring blue to purple. So let's see here. All right. Okay, it doesn't look like it actually does keep the quality because we're transferring a blue to a purple. I know that if you transfer a blue to a blue, it does keep the higher quality, but that's okay because you can see what's the difference between blue and purple gear. Let's actually take a look at that. There's a big difference for sure. So if you take a look at the blue gear, you can see that all it has is just the bonus effect. And the higher the quality, the higher the bonus effect. The basic effect stats are going to be the same. That's just going to be dependent on the item level of the gear and whatever plus honing level or plus enhancement level. The bonus effect there at the bottom, that's going to be higher the higher your quality is. But if you take a look at purple gear, you can see that it's got set bonuses. So it also has that bonus effect here, just like your blue gear. But in addition, you're also going to get, for a 2-set bonus, I'm going to get 8% attack speed, and then for a 5-set bonus, I'm going to get 10% additional damage. So yeah, I'm going to lose a little bit of quality on my blue gear, but I'm picking up those extra set bonuses, which are going to be pretty darn valuable. Now also, I'm not going to be using this for very long. I'm getting very close to item level 600 myself, so keep in mind the note here, and I'll do this while I actually transfer my gear over. So now that we did the staff, let's do the headwear. Okay, there we go. Let's do this. All this is going to cost is like 20,000 silver. Super easy, super cheap, no progress lost at all. And to finish up here, all I'm going to do is just get the last couple of honing levels on my purple gear, and I'm getting super, super close to 600, and then we're going to roll over into tier 2. Now, the final little note here that I want to kind of end off in this video, for those of you guys who are, maybe you don't get around to Abyssal Dungeons, or maybe you're kind of like at the point where I'm at. I'm already super close to item level 600 myself, and very, very briefly, I'm actually going to end up just replacing all this purple gear. It's just going to get replaced with brand new item level 800 tier 2 gear. So it's not a deal breaker. It's not the end of the world if you don't end up getting your purple gear when you're in tier 1, because as soon as you get to tier 2, which is going to be very soon for me, I'm just going to end up getting a whole bunch of new blue gear because it's going to be several hundred item levels higher. So, you know, it's nice to take advantage of it while you can, especially if you're still in like the high 400s, the low 500s. You'll get to be able to use your purple gear for a while, but it's not the end of the world because as soon as you get the item level 600, that's all you're looking for. Getting to 600, and then that's the transition point from tier 1 to tier 2, and you're going to replace all this stuff with a fresh set of blues. So let me just equip it here, and you'll be able to see that if we go to my character sheet, my item level is still exactly the same, 576.6, which is where I was when I had all my blue gear equipped. So anyway, I just wanted to throw this out there as a little guide. If you guys are wondering, how do I get my purples? What do I do for that? Now you know. Hopefully this video helped out. I wish you guys all good luck on your gearing journeys. Feel free to leave in the comments as well. Where are you guys at? What item level is your gear? Have any of you actually moved into tier 2? If not, if you're in tier 1, what point are you at? And do you feel like you're stuck? I know islands are a big deal for getting a lot of those tier 1 resources. So there's definitely a point. Don't worry. If you're stuck, that's normal. Everybody is stuck, including myself here. I've got 25 more item levels to go. So if you enjoyed, consider leaving a like. Consider subscribing for more videos. Keep an eye out. Appreciate all the support, everyone. And until next time, have a good one.